All right, boys, we've got another case. This week it's the Circleville Letters, and it's a doozy. It sounds like a case for the Unsolicited Detectives. All right, so Circleville Letters. Have you guys heard of this before?
No.
No?
No.
Circleville writer, Ohio, anything like that?
I've heard of Ohio, but not the
I've
circle.
heard of Circlesvilles and Ohio, but not together in the same continent.
Then this is going to be amazing for you. Watching all three of these things that you know come together in one mystery. Okay, so I'll get straight into it. In 1976, several residents from Circleville, Ohio, began receiving strange letters detailing personal information about their lives. One of these residents was a bus driver named Mary Gillespie, and she was accused of having an affair with the superintendent of one of the local schools. The writer told Mary that they'd been observing her house and knew that she had a husband and children and a whole life beyond this affair. The letters were postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, but they had no return address. Within 8 days, Mary received another letter, which she kept to herself until her husband, Ron Gillespie, received another letter similarly like that, which said if he didn't stop his wife's affair, his life would be in danger. So after another 2 weeks, the writer threatened to go public with the affair, so putting it on TVs, billboards, everything. And Mary and Ron had only told 3 other people about the letters. Ron's sister, Ron's sister's husband, Paul, and Paul's sister. So they were keeping it within the family. Then they decided that they should write a letter back to the guy, back to a suspect, claiming that they knew that they were the writer, which seemed to work because the letters then stopped for a few weeks. This all changed on the year later when Ron received a phone call from the writer. The call seemed to confirm Ron's suspicions of the identity of the writer. So Ron thought he knew who it was, wrote a letter, and it stopped. And then a year later, he got a call which seemed to confirm to Ron that he knew who it was. So he grabbed his gun and he left in his pickup truck to go and find this writer. A few minutes later, Ron was found dead in his pickup truck, crashed into a tree. Investigators learned he'd fired 1 shot from his gun before crashing, but it was still ruled as an accident. So, what do we think?
Do we know the identity of the person that he wrote to?
Nope, he didn't tell anyone.
Do we know if Ron is short for Ronald?
I cannot confirm nor deny, but we can make a safe assumption that it is.
That's crazy.
That changes quite a lot.
Oh, sorry, it is. His full name is Ronald Lee Gillespie.
Good surname, that. I was a teacher in my old school with surname Gillespie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard it before, but I don't know where from.
Is it? There we go. I've solved the case.
Already?
It's Tom's former teacher.
I don't think he was born in 76. Or if he was, he would have been like single figure age.
If this happened in 76, I reckon it's DB Cooper.
From our unaired episode.
That's so he went to go find the writer to kill him, or with intent to do harm, and then crashed into a tree, died, and had shot around. Were there any wounds on the body at all?
I mean, other than whatever killed him in the car crash, there was nothing suspect. So, after his death had been ruled an accident, a lot of residents started receiving letters saying that Sheriff Radcliffe had been involved in the cover-up. So, according to Paul, who is Ron's brother-in-law,
why are we on first name terms with all these people?
Because they're all related, so a lot of them have the same last name. I'm not going to be going Mr. Personality. According to Paul, the sheriff initially said that it was a result of foul play, but he apparently changed his mind when they discovered that Ron's blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit. But a lot of his friends and family were surprised by that because he wasn't really a drinker. Don't know if that helps at all, but people seem to think that it wasn't an accident.
So he's got involved in like a car chase, try to fire a shot out the window at whoever he's in the car chase with, while under the influence. To be fair, though, I'm just thinking, if he wasn't really a drinker, then he wouldn't have been drinking at home before he left the car. So he's had to see off like quite a large amount of alcohol in the car on the way there.
I think the best way to test this is for Tom to drink at home and then go on a car chase. I want a recreation.
We need to work out how much alcohol puts that much changes your blood alcohol by that much.
Do you know where he crashed?
Into a tree somewhere in the village. It was only a few minutes after he actually left his home.
Do you guys find that the recreations in like true crime documentaries are always odd? It's such an odd concept to me. Like one of my friends from school like does acting stuff, and the most I remember him telling me that the most recent thing he did was just play like a serial killer in one of these like true crime documentaries, and I was like, that's mad, because for some people this is such a obviously it's a big deal to get like a TV true crime thing, but you're playing a serial killer. It's just odd. I find it an odd concept,
especially because it's a real event. I was watching Abducted in Plain Sight. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh, is that Daisy Lee?
Yeah, maybe. And so they have lots of recreations in that of like this, like actual awful man who was grooming a child, and they have recreations of that. And I feel like that'd be such a weird part to play,
I feel like there's some like when they make like the real drama, like the film dramas based on it. So like like when Zac Efron was Ted Bundy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's so different for like when it's literally just a documentary recreation. Yeah. Like I feel like you'd have weird. Sorry, I've gone off track.
Okay.
I just thought.
So we were. Paul has just died. Shortly after Paul's death, Mary, his wife, acknowledged that she was having an affair, although she claimed that the affair didn't start until after the letters were sent.
I mean, you would, to be fair, you would claim that if the person involved had died.
Yeah. It was her husband died, not the person she was having an affair with.
Oh.
So the writer's written to this person, to the woman, what's her name again?
Mary.
To Mary, like, just randomly, like, guessing if she's having an affair.
Well, or she knows that she's having an affair. Or they know that she's having an affair.
So we've got Mary, Paul, and Ron, right?
So Mary and Paul are married.
Yeah.
Ron is married to someone else that we don't know, but Paul and the sister Paul and the woman that we don't know are brother and sister. So it's like two families that are.
Is this gonna become a family tree podcast? Because if it is, my mum would love it. She loves
discovering everyone's family tree.
This is where it turns out that Tom's great uncle is Ron.
Oh yeah. Sorry, no, I didn't mention the name. It's actually Paul Usher. Is
Christ.
So shortly after, in February 1983, so a couple of years after this all happened, Mary, so she's a bus driver, her bus route started getting these signs on them, like someone had put up these threatening signs on the road, like, I know what you did, like, I'm going to expose you, stuff like this, or like, I know where you sleep, stuff like that. How
did she know they're about her? Like, maybe there was just another serial killer on the bus route. Like,
maybe that all of the bus drivers in Circleville are all
maybe DB Cooper used to get that bus.
No situation where everyone's in on it and they're all getting.
I'm going to continually make DB Cooper references with never giving any context to anyone.
We're never going to air that DB Cooper episode, and no one's going to understand this.
The real reason we're not airing this episode is because we actually solved the DB Cooper case, and we thought it was so bad to start with a successful mystery solving that we're going to have to start the podcast again.
the FBI got in contact and said, you cannot air material.
You can't expose us like this. It's an inside job. So these threatening signs are on her bus route, and one day she decides to take them down. So she pulls over, gets out of her bus, and discovers that
She's the bus driver.
Say again?
She's the bus driver.
Yeah, she's a bus driver.
Oh, I see. That makes more sense.
And she gets off the bus. So she pulls over, gets off the bus, and tries to take one of these signs down, but she discovers it's booby-trapped, so that if she pulled the sign down, a gun would have shot her.
Just
no way. Is this real?
Yeah, this is all real. So this gun...
What's Tom's old teacher to do with any of this? I don't understand.
So he flew to America, okay, had an affair. So she then obviously called the police, and and they had a look at all the stuff, all the gun and stuff. Huh?
Did they de-booby the trap?
Yeah, they de-boobied the trap, so there were no more boobies.
So it's just a trap.
Just so they
Go on!
I'm going. You guys keep cutting in with your witty banter.
This is how we solve the case, Elliot.
Sign, ruined sign, takes it down, booby trapped. Police come in, they take the gun and they look at it, and they basically tried to scratch off the serial number, so they didn't know who the gun belonged to. But the police took it and they managed to decode it, and the gun belonged to I think his name was it was Paul.
But is this a different Paul or the same?
No,
Paul?
Same Paul. So Mary's brother-in-law.
Mall cop.
No. Paul, Mary's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So he denied that it was his, and he said that his gun had been stolen, but he didn't really have an alibi. Well, no, he had an alibi for most of the day, but he was still convicted. So what do we think? Do we think Paul did it, or do we think that he was framed?
Was Paul one of the few people that was told about it at the start?
Yes.
Yeah, was it then?
That's it. All right. See you next week, everyone.
We need actual hard cases to... These are too easy, I think.
Okay, but how did he know, so did he kill Ron?
I think Ron's death was completely unrelated to anyone else. The brother is the only person who could have known Mary's bus routes and the secret that she held.
Anyone could have known her bus routes.
No, not like her, not like him. I don't think.
Is it bad that I've done so much student radio stuff recently? Whenever you guys say Ron, I keep thinking it's someone's nominations are getting reopened.
That's it. This guy who keeps running for every goddamn role.
This guy.
I feel like Paul's quite a shady name. What about you?
I
was reading the paper yesterday, and I saw that someone had named their 5-year-old kid was called Tony, and I just thought that was so harsh. Imagine in the last 5 years naming your child Tony. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, let me think. So Paul, there's Paul Blart Mall Cop, wouldn't trust him. Paul Sylvester, definitely wouldn't trust him.
Paul Chuckle.
Paul Chuckle. I trust Paul Chuckle in my life, actually.
For the record, I trust Paul Sylvester.
Well, look, in my books...
I also trust Paul Chuckle, big friend of student radio.
In my books, you can only trust 2 out of 3 Pauls. Sorry, 1 out of 3 Pauls.
Paul Gascoigne.
Is this like the thing that's like you can't trust people whose last names are first names?
Yes.
Yes. LeBron James.
Morris Elliot.
LeBron James.
James LeBron.
James LeBron.
I have 2 rules in life, and the first one is you can't trust someone with a first name for a last name, and the second one is if they have over 1,000 people on Facebook and can't name every single one of them, you can't trust them.
I don't think you can trust me. I think we've got about 1,300 people on Facebook.
Sorry, the podcast has to end this way.
That's it. We're done for. You guys got any more thoughts about this?
Is there any more information, or is that the end of the FBI file?
There's a little bit more information. So Paul was sent to prison, and then, but sort of after a while, it came out that there was a journalist who'd spotted a suspicious man standing next to a yellow El Camino in the same spot where the booby trap was made, and that the person in the town who owned the El Camino wasn't in any way related to Paul. So they think that after he was put in prison, Paul probably didn't do it.
Paul's hired someone then. I think Paul's definitely involved.
So why would Paul start sending all these letters around to start ruining other people's lives?
Family fortune, inheritance.
Wait, you think he was on the game show Family Fortune?
No, not Family Fortunes with Les Dennis. Family fortune, like an inheritance.
But how would that help at all?
I saw the other day that apparently Gino D'Acampo is going to host a new version of Family Fortunes.
Oh, I'd watch that.
And I reckon we should get Paul on the show.
Which Paul?
Paul, Mary's brother.
Oh, Paul's dead. Paul died in 2011.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
of natural causes?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Paul didn't do it then, I don't think.
Why? Because murderers have to be immortal?
No, I think if he died of natural causes, then...
Yeah.
Would he be involved though? Because the guilt would... Wait, how old was he when he died?
Yeah, I don't actually know.
Because if he was old, then he didn't do it. But if he was young, then he did.
He was pretty old when the murder happened. What was it? His name was Paul something. Paul Freshour.
There's no way that this story's real.
What do you mean? There's no way this story is real?
Paul Freshour getting and bus routes with random signs that are all booby trapped. No way.
You mean it's no way it's real?
I think Tom's teacher wrote this story.
What year? So what year did the murder happen?
Okay, so the letters began in 1976.
Yeah.
In 1977, Ron died.
Yeah.
In 1983, someone tried to booby trap the signs to kill Mary.
Yeah.
And then later on in 1983, Paul was found guilty of attempted murder.
So, in 1983, The Shining, or the 80s, The Shining was released.
Right.
The Empire Strikes Back was released.
Yes.
So
Raging Bull, Airplane, Caddyshack. That's
Back to the Future.
Friday the 13th. So these are all big films which are about murder and setting up murder.
And booby traps.
And booby traps. So that's, I think,
and bus routes. There's a well-known bus route in The Shining.
Also, I'm trying to think if there are any bus route related films that were released in the 80s.
It was like, when was like Carry On Bus released?
Cruising by
film. Is that a Carry On film? I feel like there's a Carry On film about busing.
There must be.
I've never seen the Carry On films.
I feel like there's one about buses, but I might have imagined it.
It just looks like very. Yeah, it was just a very odd. It looked like a very odd show for me.
That's understandable.
Everyone always seems to be naked. You know? It was just weird for films in the 80s.
I watched the Bill and Ted films yesterday.
Oh yeah, what are they like?
I enjoyed them, to be fair. It's quite odd seeing Keanu Reeves in like a stoner comedy role rather than I'm going to obliterate every single human being in my sight role. Like he does in The Matrix.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen The Matrix. I need to watch that. Yeah.
They did a new one.
It in RS after my A levels finished.
In RS we watched The Truman Show.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
Great. And the Gandhi film with Ben Kingsley as Gandhi. Classic.
Ah. And did you learn anything in that might help you become an unsolicited detective?
I think. Well, no, I haven't. I was going to say I think Ben Kingsley did it dressed up as Gandhi, but that feels really like wrong.
Look, it would definitely put him above suspicion, because if you were to say Ben Kingsley dressed up as Gandhi came to Ohio to try and murder me, no one's going to take you seriously.
The thing that I want more details on is the bus route thing. Like it does feel like it has to be someone that knows her or them to know about the bus routes.
Because there were some.
How did no one else notice the signs?
No, people did notice the signs.
But then, how did more people not get hit by the booby traps?
Because you only got hit by the booby trap if you tried to take down the sign.
Surely someone would try. Surely, like the local council would try and get involved with taking down the sign if it said.
Yeah, what was the council doing during all this?
Doesn't say.
Now asking the real questions.
Doesn't actually say what the council were doing here. They seem to be mysteriously left out of this murder mystery.
Suspect number one in my book.
I think it was the head councillor of Ohio.
The head councilman of Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio or Circleville?
Is Circleville actually a real place?
Yeah. I don't like the accusation that I've just made up this entire mystery.
I like that Tom's having a Capri Sun to sort of get his energy going, get his brain working.
Get my blood sugar back up.
He's just so overworked from solving all these cases.
Is that your last one, Tom?
No, I've got 4 left.
Because back in March, Tom won a big box of Capri Sun.
It was like a good 30, 35 of them.
Yeah.
I respect that a lot. Congratulations, Tom.
Does anyone want to guess what Circleville's nickname is?
Squareville.
Hi.
Town.
Its nickname is Round Town.
That's so much better than what I said.
So as it was established, it was a circular. It was set up in a circle shape, centering around like a main.
When I play like SimCity style building games, I always do that. That's like all my go-to.
Really, that annoys me because I feel like it's too chaotic.
I just find roads really frustrating on those type of games to sort of get right. Like you have all these options of like, do I do a 2-way road? Do I do a highway? No, I'm just going to do simple, small roads. I want traffic. I want people to hate the commute to work in my version of Round Town.
The trick is you make the commute, you make the drive really horrible, and then put in a load of public transport. So.
Oh yeah, no, I see.
Then everyone's forced to use public transport.
One of the weird things about I was playing City Skylines is that you unlock the roads with bike lanes. Like after you've done normal roads, so you put all the roads in, you build all the houses, and then they're like, "Oh, have bike lanes," and you're like, "Oh, great! Now I've got to redo my whole world just to have bike lanes." Nah.
Outrageous.
Have you seen that YouTube channel of the guy who goes into like City Skylines worlds and fixes all their traffic problems?
Yeah, it's really satisfying.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it.
You know what his name is? Paul.
Is it actually?
Paul Flowerhouse. No, I don't know.
That would be incredible. Okay, you've had all of the information now. You've had some time for discussion. What do you guys think could have happened? Who do you think the letter writer was? Oh yeah, I will say, when Paul was in prison, letters were still being written to people in the town exposing their secrets.
I think it was a similar to Hot Fuzz situation where Paul was the leader and he's just handed it off to followers who now finish his work.
Okay.
That's what I have to say.
I think it's either Tom's former teacher or the head counsellor of Roundtown.
I think that's a shout. The council definitely have.
Well, what's interesting is that Paul Black Mall Cop must have something to do with the council, right? Like, because he's
Obviously.
a mall cop.
Yeah.
So we don't know Paul's. Do we know Paul's last name?
Yes. It's Paul...
Roundhouse, isn't it?
No, Fresh Hour.
Oh,
fresh.
I was not close with Roundhouse.
That's a different Paul. There's loads of Pauls in this story.
You just heard Circleville and you went Roundhouse.
He's a martial arts specialist.
I think we should clarify that we are aware that these stories are real, but I don't know.
I mean, look, like these are real stories, obviously, and we are absolutely not saying we're detectives. We are unsolicited detectives.
Well, Tom's a real detective. I'm not qualified.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm pretty good at this.
Tom was in the academy for years to get to this point.
It's he just lost his gun and badge because he was reckless, you know. He didn't listen to the rules.
I can imagine Tom being a detective like the one in Toontown, where he's like upset because his brother gets killed by Toons, and then he like reluctantly has to like work with a rabbit figure in order to save Toontown, and then becomes a big fan. Not seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yeah, that's quite a specific reference, if not.
Yeah, Tom would be able to work out who framed Roger Rabbit.
That should be our next case.
Oh, well, look, yeah, next time. I think they solved that though.
Oh yeah.
Case solved. Do they have any idea who it was still?
What Roger Rabbit?
No, not Roger Rabbit. Paul Circle.
So Paul is still accredited with the attempted murder of Mary, but no one.
You make it sound like he's got a certificate.
An honorary degree.
Yeah, he was awarded the attempted murder of Mary, but no one really knows who wrote the letters. So yeah.
Are the letters different from the signs? I feel like I'm still not clear on this.
So it seemed like the signs were made by the same person who did the letters because of handwriting similarities and stuff like that.
Were they like highway codes established signs? Like were they like all metal and printed, or were they just like handmade?
It doesn't say, but I assume they were handmade. I can't imagine like getting a digger out there.
Yeah, if they've managed to pass that through like a lot of establishment to get "I know what you've done" put on a public road sign, and then permission.
It's why it's got to be the council.
It does.
So we've come to a conclusion then, have we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. In
the same way that the DB Cooper was the press, this is the council. We're slowly slandering local governments.
The establishment, man. It's the establishment.
Oh.
All right. Well done then, detectives. I guess you've done it.
The FBI. Send them out. Tell them they can arrest Paul. Again.
Isn't he dead?
Oh, is he dead?
Yeah.
Oh. That's a kid. Oh, we never found out what age he was when he died.
Didn't really say.
What was his name again?
Fresh Hour.
Roundhouse.
HOUR.
Paul Fresh Hour death.
Yeah.
Age 70. That means
this is such a delightful note to end a podcast on. Now we've solved the case.
What's important is we solved the case. I've been Elliot.
I've been Danny.
And I've been Tom.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye. Thanks for listening. The jingle was written by Jamie Kimothy Milburn, and if you want to see what else we're up to, we're Jesting Dog Productions on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.